for the Prime Minister. Last week, steel and aluminum CEOs and opposition leader Pierre Poilievre called for the federal government to match the U.S.'s tariffs on China. Why has Canada not moved on this yet?
Well, first of all, it's a bit of a joke that Poilievre is suddenly talking about workers in the auto industry. He has said repeatedly that he wouldn't be making these investments in our auto industry. He wouldn't have invested. He'd be cutting our investments in EVs, in building an extraordinary EV supply chain in Canada, something that we've been doing as a government in partnership with the government of Ontario and others right across the country over the past 4 years in a deliberate strategy. Bring in Volkswagen, bring in Stellantis, invest in Honda, invest in the EV supply chain from mines to manufacturing and recycling. We have been there every step of the way, and the federal Conservatives continue to say they'd cut it all. They don't support it. They don't believe in investing in Canadian workers. So him to suddenly turn around and say, oh, we're worried about EVs, that's baloney. He's looking for a political angle because that's all he does. But in regards to the CEOs and the steel manufacturers and partners in the industry, I can tell you, for the past many months, we, alongside Minister Mary Ng, our Minister of Trade, have been working with stakeholders, working with community groups, working with international partners on making sure that Canada's EV advantage remains. Canadians have invested in this future, and we're going to make sure that we follow through on it. So Poilievre jumping in front of the parade or trying to is just silly. We have stood up for Canadian workers in the auto sector. We will continue to stand up for Canadian workers in the auto sector. We will continue to make sure that we're using all necessary tools to drive a greener, cleaner economy, which means great manufacturing jobs here in Canada, more opportunities for Canadians. This is a conversation that we've been having for months, and we will continue to have to make sure these investments we are making that Poilievre would cut are well protected for the future.
Thank you, Prime Minister.
En français, écoutez, je trouve ça un peu ridicule que tout à coup...
Listen, I think it's somewhat ridiculous that all of a sudden Pierre Poilievre is discovering the importance of the EV industry in Canada. For years, we've been investing in companies such as Honda, Stellantis, and Norfolk in Quebec, in mines, in natural resources, in order to create an industry that is now at the top of the list in the world for EV batteries. And it's not just me saying that, it's also Bloomberg has conducted an analysis. We're ahead of China when it comes to attracting investment in EV batteries. And at each stage, Pierre Poilievre and the federal Conservatives have attacked our investments and announced that they would withdraw from investments or cut investments in EV auto manufacturing. So I think that it's completely ridiculous that all of a sudden he's worried about jobs and workers and the EV industry. Nobody believes him. For months, we've been working with manufacturers and the aluminum industry to talk about the threat from China and to correct our responses in the right way to ensure that, yes, we can continue to protect our investments and our jobs, especially in manufacturing. And also to ensure that Canadians have options and can choose electric vehicles in Canada in order to respond to a greener global economy.
That concludes today's press conference.